It gives the fast query result out of this data set. But downside is that, right? So let's say, for example, I have to select multiple columns, and those petabytes of data is there, multiple columns we have to select, and most of these columns may be, some are in middle, some are in end. So that head movement is more costly. So in this case, this column oriented approach will not be a better option. Or maybe tomorrow I want to do some kind of insert update. So if you are taking a columnar approach, it is very slow. It's slow compared to the row based approach, right? So both approach, if you see row based approach or the columnar, they have some advantage and they have some disadvantages. So row based advantage is that any kind of insert update delete is very fast. We can do that easily. But if you are doing the same kind of operation in the columnar format, that is not efficient. Now, if you are talking purely on the some kind of aggregation function, whether it's a sum, average, or mean, these kind of operations are very fast in the column-oriented database, or maybe storage, right? So, so that will help actually to understand where the OLAP and OLTP are helpful. I hope this columnar approach and the row-based you got the understanding. Now, let's take example. Instead of storing this data into the columnar format or the row column, can we do some kind of hybrid approach? So let's say once we are talking about the hybrid approach, right? Let's say we have employee ID, employee name, employee salary. These are the three columns. Let's say what we can do, we can make a chunk. Once we say make chunk, right? Let's say, for example, I am storing this kind of value. So let's say 11 and then 22, and then I have Alex, and then Steve, employee 3000 and 6000. If I make this kind of chunk, so this is more like a hybrid approach. If we take a hybrid approach, so what will happen in that case? If I am running, let's say, for example, insert, delete, update, maybe it will faster compared to the what we have seen the columnar approach. Or maybe we are talking about some of the aggregation functions. So in that case, let's say, for example, in aggregation function, I can take these two value here and then this value. So aggregation, we can do the aggregation. It's a much better than purely row based on the columnar based, right? So that means hybrid approach is much better if you compare with the two different approach. So here, once we talk about the Parquet also follow this kind of approach where you can store the data in chunks, and then you can perform your operation top of this. So if in most of the document you can see it's a columnar format, but this kind of advantage Parquet brings in the plate. So once we talk about the Parquet, right? So Parquet file format, what we are saying that kind of read will be fast. Right? We are talking about the Parquet file format. Read may be a fast, right? And write little bit slow. Operation OLAP operation we can do, it will be fast. OLAP operation will be the fast, and it will save storage cost. So these are some of the advantage on the Parquet file format, and and especially it works good with the Spark. If you are talking about the Spark, it's very good with the Spark. It gives a very good performance with the Spark, right? So I hope you get little bit idea what is the Parquet. It's a file format which is very helpful for the analytic processing, also which saves storage which is very costly and which is very efficient in efficient query processing we can do, and add query processing. So these are the major advantage of the Parquet file. So let's talk about the new slide. Let's discuss some of the pros and cons, and then we'll move into the more detail about the Parquet. If you see here, right? So if you are talking about the read and write, so you will see it's a very faster read. Compression supports compression with snappy. Open source. This is the open source file format, and very well versed with the Spark and other big data toolset. Aggregated functions are fast. IO operation is fast, so it can save networking bandwidth also. Human readable, it's not that plain like text and the CSV, it's not that human readable format. Write little slow. File splittable. So what happens once you store the Parquet array, multiple file data can be stored. If you have the large data set, it will store in multiple files. Optimize storage, it optimizes the storage, so it saves the directly to dollar value. OLAP operation basically it's very good for the analytic processing. So these are the key feature of the Parquet file format. So one of the interview question here is that what is Parquet file format? The answer for this is Parquet is a columnar format supported by many data processing system. It will require less storage, fewer IO operations and faster read for aggregation functions or normal read. So this will be the short description for your answer. So some of the important point we have to remember in Parquet. So first point is that field or column